Hello everyone, the story I chose to read was Zora and Me by Victoria Bond and T.R. Simon. And the story tells about a young girl named Zora and her best friend Carrie and their other friend Teddy, who live in Florida during a point in time where it wasn't necessarily illegal to be an African American and be participating in society, but it was still quite frowned upon. And Zora, Carrie, and Teddy learn lessons about life and death and telling the truth and lying. And in the very beginning of the story, Zora and Carrie decide to eavesdrop on a conversation, which ends up where they follow a group of gentlemen to watch a man wrestle an alligator, and this man ended up being dragged into the water and was mangled pretty badly and didn't make it through the night. And then they go with Zora's mother into a neighboring city and run into a very peculiar woman and her fiance. And after this woman and her fiance appear in town, a lot of strange things begin to happen. There is a woman in town named Old Lady Bronson, and Old Lady Bronson is a very strong woman that really nobody wants to mess with. And she ends up falling almost to her death at the Blue Sink and was found by Carrie and Zora. And then there had been sightings of a man with an alligator head but the regular body, and a man was found decapitated on the railroad tracks. And just all of these little things that had been happening around town that were not normal. And it turns out that the man that had been found on the railroad tracks was the brother of the woman that had been seen in this neighboring town. And it isn't exactly said in the story that the fiance is the one that had killed this man, but it's pretty likely that it's him because he is an African American man and the fiance is white and apparently has some issue with African Americans. And this story, I feel like, is something that children really need to read because it's important for them to understand that racism is an issue still today, but it was just as prevalent after the desegregation and after all the laws had been passed to end slavery and racism. And children really need to understand that it's something that requires work and it's not something that's easily just going to go away. And the story also demonstrates the idea that once you tell so many lies or so many stories that aren't necessarily the truth, people tend to not really believe you anymore. And that's something that Zora finds out the hard way in the story. The story shows acts of bravery and acts of kindness, but it also shows some devastating life events that are things that children need to understand really do happen. And for my assignment for the class, I would have them write about a time that they were trying to express their feelings in a story to an adult, and the adult didn't believe what the child was saying and how that made them feel. Thank you.